Alrighty, and we are here. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 97 of the Leonis Report, March 31st, the first week in end of series formally. We're getting our update tomorrow, but before we jump into things, a quick hello to you, JB, in particular. What's going on, man? Good to see you again. Saw you last Tuesday. We had a little side stream, but good to be together again.
Definitely. I'm glad to have something to talk about this week too. We got a new unit coming in that's we weren't expecting, so it'd be interesting to kind of look through Helena and what she brings to the table. It was fun too, kind of jumping on that live stream. Although the topic matter wasn't really what we want to see, it was good to at least see Hiroki come out again and
Absolutely.
kind of hang out with the and watch that with the community.
I was very happy to see Hiroki there. I mean, I kind of assumed he would be there. I would be very surprised if he didn't come out for the end of series stream, considering he, to our knowledge, like wasn't ever fired or even removed. Quite frankly, it just seemed that he was prioritizing time in other projects. But the fact that he could come back, it was good to see him. I mean, I know he loves this game. People love to meme on him. Oh, we're buying Hiroki's house, we're buying Hiroki's boat, we're financing his retirement, and yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that. But at the same time, he is. I was looking at his resume. He is a long time Square Enix vet, like 20, 30 years, and he's been involved in so many RPGs. Now, obviously, more on the gotcha side of things, but still, like, from everything I've ever heard, a genuinely solid dude. So it was nice to kind of have that little bit of closure with him, considering it'd been like, I don't know, a year since we'd seen him last. Maybe a little bit shorter than that, but it'd been a while.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw him was the around the last anniversary when Final Fantasy VII remake came
Right.
through. So, yeah, it had been a minute. We were all wondering, would we ever see him again? And yeah, I agree. It would have been weird if he didn't come out for end of service. Kind of set that precedent with FFBE last year.
Yeah. But yeah, before we get too far, too, I figure IRL stuff. What's going on in the life of JB? How's the weekend for you?
It's going pretty good. Kind of things are ramping up with my son with baseball is kind of getting in underway. So he's had like some clinics and things, and kind of getting outside and throwing the ball around and stuff like that. So um, yeah, so the weather, although it's been kind of gray and rainy, the temperature is getting better here in New England. So looking forward to getting outside a bit. How about
Definitely,
you?
yeah. No, same. Nothing crazy this weekend. I had a wedding one weekend and St. Patty's Day shenanigans another weekend, and so this last weekend was actually my birthday on Friday. And so my friends and family are like, "Hey, what are you doing? You going out? This and that." I'm like, I just want to like stay home, like have pizza, have a couple drinks, like just chill, get to bed, and have a nice quiet week. And because God, anyone that knows me, I'm down for a party anytime. I don't need my birthday to go celebrate. Hell, we'll just have a live stream, end of the year showcase, and I'll get drunk on stream for y'all like I do every year. So I don't need a birthday
Nice.
to celebrate that.
Sold.
But
Well, happy belated.
thank you, thank you. I'm getting old, 37 now. We're getting up there.
Yeah,
Yep. Uh, oh
we're
well.
all getting old.
We are. But yeah, today's Leonis report. Standard topics for what we're expecting within the week. We still want to still take some time to digest and talk about the live stream and our reactions and thoughts to it. We'll talk about end of series now, just kind of open form how we're feeling. What are our plans in the future on a variety of different things. We then will look at the roadmap that they laid out for us to kind of give everyone an idea. If you haven't seen it yet, you'll see it now, and obviously a little more thoughts on it. We do have a couple things dropping this week which deserve their own time to kind of highlight, talk about how we're approaching it. And then we have the news of the hour is the new Helena unit where she was released on Woad of Calc on JP. So I already released my character review. We've had some time to look at her, and then we're just gonna get right into hot takes and just see where the night takes us to the guys. Pretty light, but should be an open forum of sorts. So please in chat if you guys have questions or thoughts. Like as always, feel free to chime in. This is pretty open how we maneuver. But we'll go back to the live stream here. I know one of the first pieces of feedback from people watching us was that we seemed happy with what they were rolling out here for the roadmap. Um, I don't know if I think we already rebutted that a little bit, but I know seemingly a common observation. I know for me, my expectations are just super low. I just really didn't think they were going to do anything, quite frankly. I thought it was going to be pause all content and just kind of put a freeze. It'd be one Guild War map for the next 2 months, and like that's basically it. And I really just thought that from the Leviathan banner because it had this like 60-day time frame on it. Where in my head I was like, well, if they're gonna go weekly content, then there should be a countdown timer, 14 days on this banner. Because there wasn't, I just went into that really thinking nothing. But they did some special stuff for us that we'll talk about with the Vision Remembrance Chamber, and they do have a PvP roadmap for us of stuff that's going to change. So that was more than I thought. I was pleasantly surprised considering the alternative.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think happy is how I would describe my feelings whatsoever, when it comes to anything that's been going on with the game as of late. Very saddened, to see it go because, this has been a big part of my life, since it has come out. Um, from playing the game to becoming a content creator and a guild leader and, just forming friendships around the game and um, the whole community aspect and social aspect is really, I think, what has held this game as long as it has. Because a lot of aspects of the gameplay, I think we have our issues with it and have had them for some time. But um, I was same. I kind of had low expectations going into. I didn't really expect them to bring much new content. So when I saw like a whole brand new unit, like an anniversary unit, that was kind of a nice surprise. So I'm excited to kind of dig into her and try her out.
Absolutely, same. I don't even think I would have wanted more. There's some people that have wanted them to like open it up so everyone gets all the units and all the vision cards and everything, just even the limited stuff, just like blown out and thrown into the accounts. I'll be honest, I don't even know if that's possible, quite frankly. If they could like make that happen to like Instamax, just like give people, stuff for the account. I don't know if I would have liked that, to be honest, either. I feel like the what they're doing now, allowing people to still like farm for a sense and like build their stuff up organically, puts it a little more control in the players' hands rather than overloading them with just everything of sorts. Again, provided that was even possible. But I would have liked maybe a couple more releases here. A lot of people were pretty bummed that Kuja is not in the roadmap. There's actually a pretty large subset of the community, and I'm still of the opinion. I think that's like low hanging fruit to be angry. I think no matter what, wherever they're EOS, there was probably going to be a unit that everyone was excited for that was going to be disappointed that they couldn't get at some period. It would have been some unit where everyone was really hyped and it just never would have happened. This just happened to be Kuja. Um, but I mean, I, I guess I don't have a strong opinion on that. I would have liked to see more content coming on a weekly basis, but at the same time, they're doing enough with the map changes and whatnot that I think the game's still going to feel kind of fresh. Yeah, I don't know.
I would have liked to have seen the anniversary vision card to come alongside Helena. I
Yes,
think that's definitely a miss for me because a big part of using the unit is, with the vision card and kind of, the team building aspects that open up with them. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but on global we do have like a few more book cards than JP does just by a number of exclusives that we have. So maybe that can kind of augment and fill in where that vision card. We don't know the details on it quite yet. So
I love
I
it.
guess we'll see next week.
Yeah, yeah. I have now that it's been a week. I was thinking about this. Our last Leonis support, we actually didn't know that it was EOS yet. So yeah, I look back on hindsight, and both of us are making these predictions that the game is just fine, and the game is just going, and lo and behold, 24 hours later, we get the hammer that it's not. How are you feeling now about it? Now that you've had a little time to settle, and any thoughts change? Like, what's your general feeling of it?
Well, I mean, to be honest, like going into the stream last or going into the Leonis report last week, we had the news that JP was a news item that JP was getting like the countdown to global anniversary quest, and they were bringing that to the players over in JP and on a daily basis. So I felt pretty confident because of that news item that we would we wouldn't be going EOS on the anniversary. So I thought, it's been in my mind that we were heading in that direction, pretty much since they started going haywire with the banners
Yep.
and the shops and stuff like that. So I didn't think we had a ton of time, but I thought maybe we'd get through the anniversary and maybe they'd see how that went. Would, did revenue go up or whatever? Um, so that's why I felt kind of confident, going into the Leonis report last week. So it was a bit of a surprise to get the news the next day that we were going end of series. Now, a week later, I've kind of gone through the different stages. I was pretty disappointed at first, but again, like in the back of my head, I'd already been kind of preparing for this for the last couple of months. Um, so I felt like I wasn't really that impacted by it. I was already kind of tapering down some of my play, and um, that's kind of continued this week. And that's kind of I've seen a lot of people doing that across the community as well. How about you? How are you feeling a week later?
I've been feeling fine the whole time. I, like you, mentally knew it was a possibility, even though I was a staunch supporter that it wasn't. I'm just of the opinion that like you can't play a game expecting that. There's always going to be bumps, and there's been 10 other times in this game's history where something could have been EOS, and it just never comes to fruition. I'm just not going to call wolf until it actually happens. I did actually get hit in the fields today doing my character review when I was putting together it's my last character review ever, putting together that final image. And I had a moment where I'm like, I don't even know if I can record this. Like, I kind of felt shaky. Like, I couldn't even get through. I did. It was totally fine. But it was getting back into the content creation motion suddenly made it like super hyper aware that like this is the last time I'm ever going to do a character review. Like, that's it. And I'm still okay with it. Personally within my life, I'm ready to move on. I've always said this. I live my life per the game's schedule right now. That's how hardcore of players we are. So it'd be nice to not have to worry about mock hours during business time. Would be nice to not worry about farming and quick play or quick pick windows of time and all the daily stuff that I'm just ready to kind of like get back to a new normal before this game because that's when I felt more normal was pre-COVID. Everything's post-COVID's obviously kind of like still like feeling it out, and this to me was like the final domino to go away to kind of get back to that. And so yeah, Sam, I'm ready to put my money in other avenues or just save it once again. I'm ready to play new games. Gotchas I'll still probably dabble in, but nothing like this, not nearly to this level. But I feel good about it. I accepted it pretty quickly. And I had low expectations, and I've been through a couple EOSs before with other games, so I just kind of know that this is what happens and how to deal with it.
Yeah, I hear you on the kind of getting hit in the feels when you're doing the video. That was when I made my response to the EOS letter, about a week ago, right after the announcements. It was hard to get through that video, to be honest. Some of the things just kind of think of it kind of hit me as a ton of bricks towards the end of the video, and I had to stop recording and kind of just walk around and take a few breaths and come back and finish it out. Um, it's bittersweet. It's you have you kind of get into this routine even as a content creator, and I haven't been making videos like I used to, but but still been doing this, and um, it was like kind of a little bit of a closure for what I did there on the channel, that final video.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was still you still go through the offline routine of a new character comes out and you review the character to yourself, and the vision card comes out and you update your vision card spreadsheet, and there's still a whole routine that you go through, even if it may not be
Yeah.
in the form of a video. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. That ending of the routine for you, how much work it may be or may not be, is still something that can be tough to come to terms with.
For folks that are going to sort of continue the journey over in JP, I'm sad to say I will not be continuing the vision card tool. I can finally put that to bed, and when I'm not able to log in on that final day, I'm sure that I will no longer be using that going forward. So,
Yep.
it's been a couple years that I've been maintaining that on a weekly basis. So, yeah, it was a labor of love there for a while.
Absolutely, same here. My character. So actually, this segues nicely to our next topic about like what our plans are, because we've had a lot of questions around that. People wondering what we're gonna do now that it's over. I mean, I know myself, I'm not gonna be following JP to the level of analytics that I am right now. I will not be doing content creation on JP. I've had my character spreadsheet that I've maintained since God knows how long now. So it's nice to also not have to constantly update that and do all the analytics. But I'll likely I don't want to say I'll pause from content creation because I don't want to lose too much steam. But I don't know exactly where I'm going to put my efforts quite yet. If anything, I might transition to more of the actual live streaming side of things rather than the YouTube video creation of things. I do find that the editing of the videos basically doubles the time investment, where you not only have to record the video, but then I have to edit the video. I've never been a big fan of, and no disrespect to, I'm not going to even name them, some content creators that do like this, like stream of consciousness stream where they just record themselves talking. I do that occasionally. Like my EOS video was 17 minutes of me just doing that, but I don't like to do that. That's not how I try to do content creation. So I'm almost making more work for myself that I don't want to get right back into that, but I probably will pick up another game. I mean, I have a pretty large what do you call it? Library of games that I'm playing between Overwatch 2 still every day, Final Fantasy 14. I still play a bunch of JRPGs, but I don't think I would do content creation on a single player game. But I know like Genshin Impact is still in the fold too, and a whole bunch of others. Suikinen's coming out with a gacha at some point, so I might dabble in that. But so we'll see what happens. I don't want to drop it entirely, but War of the Visions I can close the book when the game closes too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'll be continuing any sort of content. I mean, if we wanted to like maybe figure out something with the podcast and change the topics, like maybe I'd be interested in that
Yeah,
going forward because I do enjoy our conversations and just kind of shooting the shit.
same.
But um, outside of that, I think the whole reason I got into content and and making videos in the first place was just because I loved the game and I had a big passion for it and I wanted to share that with the community.
Same.
I wanted to, I mean, being like a top player in the game, I like having that competitive environment and I wanted to help other people to try to, share in that same love. So that's where my content was coming from. And um, I don't think I could I was never like trying to get clicks or like trying to farm money or that sort of angle to the YouTube stuff. So you know, I have to kind of have that passion for the game in order to create something. So
Same. And that's why I'm trying to keep it to my current library of games. I don't want to just start a game for the sake of content creation. I did the same thing as you. I will never forget this. For those of you that may remember Sven from Chocobo Force, Zven. He plays sort of Convalary now in one of the guilds. He used to love to famously call me a whale tard. And the idea is basically like I was spending money on the game and I was putting all this time, but I was pretty bad. And it was the truth. I was like actually pretty bad at the game, and that was one of the things where I'm like, I should actually know what I'm doing. And once I started like learn the mechanics and learn the X's and O's, and I started to promote to higher guilds where I went from that like mid rank 20 to Pepper and top 10 and then to VIP. It's one of those things that I'm like, I want to share this with the community because I don't want them to go through what I did and just play this game aimlessly and be confused because it is a complex game. It's only gotten more complex as time has gone on. Too much so, quite frankly, in my opinion. I think right now it's a pretty large headache to try to analyze the game. And most games get to that point too. I know FFBE did. I know even Genshin right now and other games, there's just so many descriptions. It's like, it's hard to keep track of. But um, I know I'm
I
at
think
least, yeah,
that's a common issue with live service games in general as they
absolutely.
kind of go on and they add on layers. They never really go back and sort of audit, is it actually going to be good in the long run? Because they know that these games have, a shelf life and they're not really thinking from that perspective. They're thinking about retention and, bringing back players and things like that. So,
Yep. But at least the next 2 months, I will be doing the same that I always have. I have no intentions to slow down playing the game. I mean, we love actually physically playing the game. We'll talk about this more in our hot take section, so I want to save my thoughts for then. But we can at least talk a little bit about the roadmap here now and kind of what to expect in the weeks coming. And so the roadmap itself, this is nice that they put it together. There is a small typo here that this guild battle supremacy that you see my cursor hovering over is actually just limited guild war. Again, regular limited guild war. And so the entire duration of the next 2 months, it's going to have the Helena quests, big call out, the Vision Remembrance Chamber. We'll come back to that in a second. and they did do some reissue quests to kind of catch up on other things like the raid boss survival. But even just the campaigns, like these to me are nice quality love stuff that you'll have the Farplane archives. I think they're doing like double and triple experience and the guild chambers unlimited and open. I don't know if you'll need all of that stuff because you'll have the Vision Remembrance Chamber, but at least you'll have the medals still, which I don't know if there's much use for those for veteran players. The arena medals, the friend medals, the guild medals, like those are at this point basically just fragments of awakening and fragments of thought for us,
Basically, yeah.
basically. But at least I
There are
was
some
at
shards you can get in there, but that those are kind of redundant
they
now.
are. I was very happy to see that they were at least rolling out more of the PvP things. Where at this life cycle of the game, that's like probably one of the most easy wheels to turn for them. Just like put out a new Guild War map, and the amount of trickle down effects from that in terms of like new meta and theory crafting is immense. And so the fact that we're getting not only a limited guild war, a guild battle supremacy, a class match, but two grand arenas and technically two different guild war maps. We're getting one for April comes tomorrow and one for May. I think is pretty awesome. That is enough like PvP content to sink your teeth into. Although you're not going to be getting new characters throughout that entire time, realistically, like if you consider a 2 month span, you might get, I don't know, two, maybe three characters, depending if there was a collab live or not. If there was a collab live, maybe you get more. So from like a meta perspective, I don't think we're missing out on a whole ton other than Kuja and Karsha, who unfortunately so are massively meta defining units. That being said, they're almost oppressively meta defining that I'm kind of glad we won't have them on a glass half full. Like if you look at the stats on them on motive stats, they've just absolutely dominated and taken over the game. And I think we're in a good point here right now that I'm almost kind of happy they didn't go that route.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are some characters that are kind of at the top, but I feel like there's enough interplay, and there's generally like a pretty decent rock paper scissors going on, and we've talked about that in the past. Um, yeah, so I obviously we're gonna have to see the nuts and bolts of the remembrance chamber and kind of see probably just something that you're gonna just set in the background farm and just kind of have that going pretty much in perpetuity here for the last couple months and get whatever you can out of that shop, whatever you want. It seems to me that based on the items here, we're going to be able to farm just about everything that you'd want to in order to max out all the characters that you'd like to. So that's kind of the content, so to say, or the gameplay. And it's not unlike anything that we've done in the past. This is a farming simulator at its core,
It
and
is.
always has been. So that's all going to be there. All those goodies are going to be there for the taking.
Totally. What I am interested to see, and I don't have the screenshots up, but they did announce two different banners that will be running. One of them is a select character banner. I think they said it will run up till December units. We'll see exactly what the cutoff is, but off the top of my head, I think it was like select one 100 cost and 190 cost. It was something to that effect.
Hmm.
And then they had a second banner that, based off the text, looked like an unlimited vision card summon. Again, we only saw it for a moment there, but we'll see what actually goes live tomorrow. That's the one thing that maybe I hope they give some access to. I know they said that you can get some select ticket shards from the Remembrance Chamber. I just don't know how many. I would like them to have some kind of way to make it farmable to get those tickets. Maybe you don't Instamax 40 characters to level 140 on the first day. Like, I think that might be um, too much of a stretch to ask for, but I would like there to be some way for like us to still build up some units because if you're looking at the shop, sure you get all these materials, but if you got a unit at level 99 and you can't get the spheres or whatever to keep going on them, I would like that to be an option for some players that as a middle ground to just getting everything for free.
Yeah, I think that you're going to be able to get the units and the shards within that shop as well, in addition to all the majority of these items. So at least on that teaser banner that the one that you were referencing there of like pulling a 120 unit or whatever, it looked like Mont was on there. So hopefully for the folks that weren't able to get Mont, they'll be able to grab him there and because we're gonna have a lot of Visior that's kind of not really worth anything here. So can kind of grab those stuff that you're missing from the banners would be nice.
Definitely so. And just to answer a quick question here in chat for Malicious, how often are your teams changing around that you're planning to make teams with units that aren't meta units? We're going to come back to this in a little while, but I know for us, our strategy is not changing, for at least for Guild War. I think we're still going to try to be competitive. It's really leveraging those other game modes that we're probably going to have a little more fun with those non meta units, the free match, the class match, the arena, this and that. But I know for top end, I don't. I mean, maybe for some guilds it's changing. We've already heard some whispers of shakeup in the top end. We'll talk about that more soon too. But for now, at least for us, I think business as usual.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to play the game as I have, since the beginning, and it's kind of sent to send it off as I would like to remember it, and so I'll continue to mock and try new teams and build teams, and that's stuff that I enjoy doing. So I'm gonna continue to do that, and we'll have fun with them in Guild War.
Absolutely. No, that works. And I guess that takes us right into well, a couple things to cover. They are also doing the raid boss revival, the Porcelain Tower. Just honorable shout out for those of you that don't have your UR items or the wristbands or the element wristbands. At least have an opportunity to get those. I know some people were asking for the Porcelain Tower, so it's nice that they did release that for those that have not gotten all of those bangles yet, or whatever you want to call them. But we're also getting it tomorrow. Released the new Guild War map, Plains 8, which is not even live on JP yet. So we can't even do any kind of real analysis on the map in terms of seeing what that shakeout is because we don't even know what the topography looks like. So I'm actually very excited for that. I mean, maps are always like a way to shake up the game, and I think we're going to see that with Helena coming in here. But we can talk about Helena here now, considering we're basically covered everything coming out this week.
Yep.
I'll give the overall high level, and then we can kind of pick her apart. Brand new ice unit, 100 cost unit, unique main job. She does equip books, which is the first unit that's nickel, but even her and nickel are kind of a rare breed of book wielders within the game. She's a Guild War commander here, and it's for Sword Red Mage, Great Sword, Bow, and Book. She does not buff their stats, she only buffs ice units' stats, but she at least has an ability for them that based off my reading of it, increases their max HP and is a little bit of a heal back as well for all of those units. I need to look at the percentages to see make sure it stacks appropriately, but either way, convo for after. She's a magic damage dealer. No cast time or anything, but some pretty large AoEs and diamonds for her most potent abilities. Overall, relatively bulky unit, given some of the resistances that she has, and courage capable, and damage wise, looks to have a lot of good tools in her kit to get around any kind of magic mitigation, and has a really special limit break here. It's a curative limit break, but it brings back reflect into the game, which her previous version had, so we'll talk more about that. And the last thing, just as a high level, is the aura effect. She does on her second buff come with an aura, a little bit of a limitation on the height overall, and not nearly as large as the range of some of the others. We've seen them go as far out as 6 squares away, but still 4 different attributes here. It's another curse resistance one for those of you that missed out on Summer Resnick. All really great things. I think that's my high level summary so far. Have you looked at her yet? What are your thoughts? Anything you want to pick apart or bring attention to?
I've looked at her a little bit. I mean, the TMR looks really good to me. This is like a supportive TMR. So it doesn't look like it says a buff here. It looks like this is like an active use TMR they can use to heal and give a barrier at the same time.
Yep.
So that's a pretty cool item, pretty unique.
I don't know
There
what
is like
this.
an
I don't know what this
yeah,
is
there's
yet
a
though.
me neither. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but some sort of secondary effect here that goes on to the caster as well. It's a pretty it's an accessory. It's got 5 agility, so pretty nice there. We'll have to see what kind of classes are actually able to use that ability. Um, or how if it looks like the heal is going to be like based on magic, so
Yep.
um yeah, you can't just throw this on like a physical unit and expect a big heal, but
Right.
still pretty cool. In terms of like the passives, she's got pretty good penetrations available. So she's got the actually exceptional spirit penetration because she's got two passives for it, can get up to 80 there. And then she's got the 40% magic res penetration there on top of it. So that's kind of a bit of a flip from what we've seen from some new units as of late who have, you know, basically been more about the area resist penetration.
Yeah,
So she doesn't have as much of that innately, but she can get 20% from her book,
she can.
from her unique book. And then, there is also like the Ice Esper Chariot, which has 20 on the board.
Fact.
Um, and then, it's been coming out on some different vision cards as well as bestows, although I don't think book has access to those at the moment.
No, she uniquely does have this extra on hit effect of granting 40 AoE res pen on a critical hit. Provided this is accurate, I know we have low expectations for this. Her innate crit hit rate is actually below average. It's not even
Yeah.
average, in my opinion. And right now, crit avoidance is like at an all time high for many units. And so I don't expect this to be a common thing that you'll see in like competitive PvP play as a real factor, but it's at least there. Uh, Interesting to
Yeah,
keep an eye on.
this one almost seems like a some kind of mistranslation. This seems off to me because
I agree.
it doesn't jive that she's not really going to be critting that often in the game.
Right.
So yeah, we'll have to kind of see what's going on there. She does have like in her passive, I want to go back to that. She has some pretty nice mitigation there as well in the same passive with 20% element resist and then the magical damage taken. I think that this is pretty much like Sotiles. It's like a kind of a mistranslation here on Votive Calc where it was a turn-based thing, where basically every third turn this will trigger. So I'm assuming that's the same. She's kind of similar to Sotile in a lot of ways with the element resistance, and she can buff on as well 20% more. So that's just like what he has.
Exactly correct. Yep. I agree.
Um, yeah, so I think that she's going to be able to hold up very, very well to the current magic units out there. And of course, one of the main ones is Shrek. So she's got like the double whammy of being very strong, elemental wise, and then just having the innate advantage over Shrek.
Absolutely. So yeah, if Kuja wasn't going to be the one to bury Shreka, this unit absolutely is. So one or the other. But one of my top things I'm looking out for in this unit is actually trying to keep an eye on her AI. Is she a DPS or is she actually a support? And there's like two questions that really make me, or three questions that make me question that. Number one is her limit break. This is not an offensive ability. This is a straight heal that has an extra effect of the heal back for herself, and this is what activates the reflect. And then you look at her TMR, and kind of the same idea. This TMR would only be used if an ally needed to be healed. In my opinion, I don't know if you would necessarily buff this. You definitely would not buff it on a unit that already had a barrier. The AI won't allow for that. So, like in practice, this seems like the kind of thing that would happen in the middle of a fight. And then the last thing here on her sub job, she has a self heal, just straight up restore HP and CT. I think Soul has a similar ability, and so one of the things I'm looking for here is what is her AI, and the way we typically like classify them. If you have a DPS AI or a healer AI, if you have a DPS AI, the way I think of it, I think this is commonly accepted, is that if you have an enemy in front of you, you will opt to always damage the enemy, always, no matter what. If you have a healer AI, regardless of the enemy in front of you, if there's someone nearby that needs healing, you will prioritize healing rather than damage the enemy. And so for a unit like Helena, does she actually have a healer AI? Because I don't know any other way in which this limit break would truly be effective other than like a second fight guild war where you're starting off the fight with low teammates, or if you're in the middle of a guild war fight and there's no enemies in range and you're half health. Maybe that's the case too, but I think in order for her to actually like utilize this as intended, she probably has to have a healer AI. I think so. I'm very interested to see how that shakes out.
I agree with that because it would seem like kind of a lackluster limit burst if you're just kind of it's limited in like auto usage to a second fight guild war. Like then you really have no use for it in like dual modes for
Right.
example.
Right.
Um,
Correct.
so that I'm gonna guess that she has a healer AI kind of similar to Soul, and that she'll operate that way. And that limit burst is very cool because not only does it give you the full heal there with the 310 potency, but it also buffs a heal back onto you,
Correct.
which is another like 50% heal back or 40% heal
Hmm.
back, triggered at 50%. And then it gives her like the reflect there on top of it.
So the one thing
So
I needed to double check, because this seems broken to me at first look. I need to actually like really compare this other unit. Her other reflect, yeah, it was 3 turns. This is the same thing. It's not one hit. It's not 3 hits. It's literally, oops, wrong screen. Literally reflect for 3 turns. Do you remember? Does this fade after it gets used once? Okay,
it was one charge on Helena.
okay. And I'm assuming
So
I know Naya is the same, so I'm assuming the mechanic is the
yeah.
same. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't think they have implemented any like multiple charge reflect as of yet.
Okay, I know they've kind of played with that with like the spiker barrier. That this is the same phrasing as the old one, so I thought should be like the old one, but yeah. Either way, this unit, yeah, I'm very interested in the sub jobs as well. That was one of the things that I was really that really made me round up on this unit when I was thinking about her value. Because at first, when I'm looking about, okay, how do you stop the damage of a unit like this? She can remove wide res on you. She can break your barrier. She can remove shell 2.0. She cannot remove regular shell though. That is still one way to prevent the damage. But I'm looking at this all. I'm like, okay, so I guess you'll go with like magic AoE wide res, right? She's like diamond oriented and this large cross shape. But then you look at her sub job here, the conjurer or whatever this is. It's the Halloween Alaya one,
Yep.
but she straight up has a select two. That's an instacast of a 200% mod. It's a double hit. It's a decent range, and it's a decrease of elemental chain res, which you talk about a lot of mono ice teams and whatnot. She's got other, she's got a triple hit here on the main kit. I think this is an incredible sub job. And then the other like upsides to me are, although she's very innately accurate, like just straight up within the kit, but she's got no passives to bump it up, no guaranteed hits. She does have this extra 30% hit chance in the 120, but overall, unless you're really building her accuracy, she's not going to have it in the kit self-contained per se, like some other might. But I love this toad ability because if you're going against those evade girls, they more than likely do not have toad resistance. They gear against everything else in the game, but toad is not one of the ones that like Riku and Venera commonly have on. And not even considering the fact that I absolutely love this third buff, if you could ever get it off. Just as a reminder for people what this is. This is a auto haste when you fall below half health, but it's also protect and protect seal on hit and shell, which, as we just mentioned, is one of the things that she can't remove. So again, in that mirror matchup, this sub job looks absolutely bonkers incredible because you have so many ways to get attacked by this unit on the select two, on the diamond, on the cross shape, on this triple hit. Like there's so many ways she'll attack you. I don't know how you stop it other than I don't know how. I don't know killing her. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the only thing is, she doesn't really have any sort of imperils or breaks, so
Correct.
ice resistance obviously is going to be very strong against her, and fire units have pretty good access to that. Um, so I mean, I think there's going to be value in Sephiroth and Gilgamesh. I think kind of going forward as a counter to her. We'll have to see how strong they can actually be against her. Especially since she will pair, I think, pretty nicely with some water units. Including who we all got for free. I think
Yes.
Book and Katana will pair pretty well. Book and Devout pairs really nicely. Also, Book and Greatsword, for with Joom can go together too. Um, I do like that conjoiner sub job. I think that's pretty nice. But going back into the main kit for a second,
Yeah.
she's got the long range barrier break. She can remove shell 2.0. She can remove wide res buffs. She can, and on the remove wide res, she also gives herself a 50% barrier and absorbs damage. So
Yes.
really nice sustain, like in addition to the limit burst. So very, very strong units overall. I think pretty impressive.
Agreed. And not even talking about the Time Age sub job, which has Quicken. I've been loving using my Exia with Quicken. That's even in auto PvP. There are lots of opportunities still use that. And I know as a manual player, this has like immense upside for how you can potentially use a unit like this. That it looks really solid top to bottom. I think the coolest thing too is the fact as a book unit, if she has this healer AI, you go ahead and slap the Summer Resnick Vision card on her. All of a sudden, you can now wrinkle in this extra heal if this is indeed her AI. This would like be oppressively good on a unit like Helena when you talk about the amount of sustain she already has innately. Looks amazing. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people will think about maybe pairing her with Resnick, and you definitely could. I feel like I feel like she probably won't need her, like unless you were, because I mean she's already got the curse aura. The one thing that, and she's got the healing that we think will be used mid fight, and potentially the second with the vision card that you brought up. Um, so you're really just missing like the blind res and like the barrier sealing
Correct. It's
and
funny.
the follow up removal. But you know we are getting just a couple of other units now that are able to remove follow up. So um, I think they're trying to work Resnick out as much as they can here as the, you know, each new unit comes in.
Agreed. Yeah, she can definitely function without Resnick. I know my first team will likely include it because I do still like some of those things. I like the 30% accuracy buff. I do like the barrier seal because of the fact that she does give herself a barrier here in the middle. It's only for one turn, but still, like that's a against an enemy with barrier break. You're gonna feel that if it's not sealed. Obviously, the extra healing is certainly nice, but it also gives them magic shields, which she doesn't have any magic shields here. Um, the removal of debuffs on the Resnick limit break, but even just the idea of mono book. I've been calling this team the Book Club. I'm so ready to run it. It's Helena, Resnick, and Nickel, who's a water unit. So you talk about like fending off that fire team. I love the idea of kind of like just throwing those three magic units together and just go nuts. But to your point, O is also an excellent water choice. That I heard team building is very, very well rounded. Mono ice is certainly on the table. Ice and water, and just as a book unit, you can splash her into a variety of teams. And I don't think she really requires a whole lot from like teammates to really get running. She's pretty self-contained, all things considered. So that bodes very well for rainbow play.
Definitely. Another thing that I was looking at was, let me just pull up her sheet again
Hmm.
here. I mean, just from like a statistical perspective, like pretty strong, 6,000 HP. So that's kind of in line with other Magic bruisers we've seen like Crimson Wizard, Sadali, and Kuja, who we won't get. All like right around that 6 to 6,200 HP. Magic is pretty strong too. She's kind of from a base perspective, she's right there, like towards the top. Pretty decent with the accuracy. She doesn't have any inner passives like we mentioned, but she does get a bunch on the board.
Correct.
So she's actually like fairly accurate out of the box. It would
Yeah,
have been nice to actually have had a passive to increase that further, just to kind of make her a sharpshooter. But I think she can get there, especially with Resnick, as you said, for the buff. So I don't know. I think that we're going to be able to have some fun with her, and I think that the teams are going to be there to play around with.
I agree. And the introduction here, last point, I have nothing else to say after this. The this large diamond has this 40 healing power down, and that obviously very large diamond, but her weapon also has another 20 on hit when your health is above 50%. So you're talking 60 healing power down on a large diamond like that. That will absolutely have some ramifications on the sustain meta, given how easily she can apply that debuff on hit for units that have regen. This like nukes the power of regen. It reverses a whole lot of like self heals and heal backs that we've seen with units like Mont and whatnot. That um, 40 is not immense. I mean, I'm sorry, 40 is not irregular. A lot of units have healing power down to 40, but I feel like you've seen it on slightly less units than normal. But jacking it up to 60 even Again, for a large diamond, should have some ramifications.
Yeah, it's always best when you can apply it in an AoE and potentially get the healer too, so you can double
Correct.
dip and get it on both of them. Because then it's pretty tough to overcome unless they can remove the debuffs. Like, of course, Resnick can.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. But I got nothing else to say. I'm not even going to talk about the curse effect here, which we didn't mention. She also can inflict curse, but it's a 25% proc chance, so you can Trust Don't passive this away. You can Orochi Esper this away. If it's a enemy Helena or an enemy Resnick, 0% chance of it occurring because of the aura. So, well, this is kind of nice. I'm not actually even thinking about this in terms of actual practical implications of effects. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's more like for flavor because obviously everybody is prepared for this and including this unit themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
But all right, that basically covers all, at least that I wanted to talk about Helena. And again, her weapon. I love this weapon for healing power 15 is certainly nice for her. A little bit more than a trust on passive would get you. I'll be honest, I don't think she actually even needs the trust on passive flexibility. When I did my like 6 recommendations, um, you could easily fit healing power in there. I don't know if this actually like consolidates anything for her because the way I figured it, you have magic 20%, you have your spirit and magic pen, those three kind of a given. Ice attack is a definite, and then you have two more to play with. And normally for me, it's reaction block and healing power. I'm still going to keep the reaction block. That'll bring her up to 60 because she has the 40 innately from her dream. So I would keep the reaction block. And so okay, now I can drop healing power, but I don't really know what a sixth thing to put in there. I said accuracy of 10 because why not? Unless you're using Alex Ring or Marshmallow, you're not really going to get the accuracy elsewhere. But out of all the other Trust Stone passives, crit rate 10, okay, maybe. Her dexterity is not in her damage formula, so dex of 15% is kind of whatever. She doesn't need the acquired AP. So I don't know. I don't know what else I would think of her for Trust Stone passives unless I'm missing something on the right side.
I mean, this book is missing magic attack, so
Oh,
that would be like a big one, but I wouldn't
damn
dismiss
it.
like crit and dex for her, especially if it does end up being that the AoE pen is tied into a crit hit. If it is, I would be going all in on making sure that she crits as much as I can get her to.
That's certainly you'd have to stress test that, but I just know from her starting spot, we've already done some stress tests with certain units that are mid, and it's still not even close. So like it's so far behind. I don't know if 10% would actually make a feasible difference, but maybe not. But the magic attack 15, duh, I'm a dummy. Yeah, that's missing. So okay, thank you.
I do like that Bellis can use this item as well.
Yes, absolutely, it's a good one for him too. Um, just in general, because you have the Necronomicon. I don't think this is better personally. Um, it's fine. If anything, the debuff weakening is the only angle I can think of that you might use this, but I don't think it's enough personally for me to sub it in. Yeah,
Yeah, I think the advantage of this is like the additional cast time reduction, maybe for certain units, like they're trying to hit certain thresholds. But otherwise, I liked her own book.
I agree totally. And that brings us to our hot take section here. So a little bit of a lighter podcast. So you guys feel free to chime in and chat if you guys have other stuff that you want us to cover or questions about the units, obviously. But we'll at least get into the hot takes, which I know do still dive into uh, topics that we wanted to cover. But this is a good one that we mentioned earlier. Good first one to kick off. Helena won't be as fun to use without her vision card. Is this a hot take, or do you think that this is true?
I think that there is some, I mean, we kind of alluded a little bit to this. I think there's a little bit of truth to it, but I don't, it's a little bit hot for me. I think that she's still going to be fun to use. We are going to be missing Kuju's card too, unfortunately, which is a very good one for book with the unit resistance, HP magic, like top notch
Oh yeah.
card. So unfortunately, we don't have that. But like I said, we have a couple of like decent cards for the book class, like the Addison Ray card. It's okay. And then there's a couple others, like let's see, is that the only one actually? Might be
For what for
for book. global exclusive.
Oh,
I
global
think actually
exclusive.
that's the only one, the
Yeah,
Addison card. But I think there's still plenty there to work with. Like there's good agility cards. Like they do have another unit resist card, which is the Sottily card. So it might just be like a little bit of the overlap that's kind of lacking slightly. But I don't know. We have traditionally liked books cards. I think it has been a strength for them. So I think we'll be able to get by without them for now.
totally. And just to answer some questions, I don't think we know what her vision card is. They might
We
have
don't.
meant, yeah, they said they're getting one, but we don't know what it is. And to Luciana, we're not getting the Light Veritas vision card, unfortunately, despite the great artwork. Uh, no more vision cards introduced into the game. But I would agree with you from the hot take perspective that she will be fine without it. Would you have liked to have it? Sure. Would you have liked to have the Kuja card? Sure. But I do think they have enough in here from like covering the bases, unit res, area res, agility, but even the offensive ones where you get the magic percent from something like the VV card. You have two different spirit penetration cards here with Nickel and the Dawn Trail vision card. You already have a oh, where'd it go? Oh, I thought there was a magic res penetration one here. Maybe there's not. Uh,
Yeah, they're. I'm gonna guess that that's probably gonna be on her vision card.
I would agree with that. Okay, yeah, so maybe that's the one that I was hoping for. When I saw the Sottily card earlier, I thought that was a item. But either way, the Sottily card still good. The unit res, you talk about crit rate. That's main slot crit rate right there. Physical wide res, which she doesn't have innately for Guild Wars. So I still like the vision card options for book in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to still build some good teams, and they have like some decent overlap with Black Mage, Glove, and Katana, especially.
Exactly right. You look at the existing synergies. I don't. There's sometimes where you're hoping a vision card comes in and really cements some rainbow play because they need it. I don't think the book needs it. It would basically just be a statistical improvement of sorts. Yeah. Okay, but that gets us to our hot take number two. Helena's a new level of power creep, and I should delete these parentheses. We'll talk about that in a second. Is this a hot take, or do you think this is true?
I also think this is a little bit hot for me. I think that I mean, on first glance, like she looks like she's going to be very powerful. I don't think that it's like heads and shoulders above the other stuff that we've been seeing like the last couple of months. Um, so I mean, we'll have to kind of see what it looks like tomorrow as we kind of build her up and how powerful her attacks actually are. But to me, it looks like she is lacking a little bit when it comes to, like I said, the breaks and perils. So, first thing I'm going to be wanting to look at is the damage. You know, is she actually kind of designed maybe to work with Kuja in a way and kind of take advantage of his shreds his shred aura that he was bringing? Um, you know, because there is like a very substantial like book and glove overlap. So I can kind of see them working around that and not wanting to go too hard with her area res pen out of the box. Um, so yeah, I think that she's better, especially I think where she's better though is from the compression standpoint, and where she can legitimately potentially be like a whole support healer for you and bring like a supportive aura and kind of supplant some of what a lot of us were using Resnick for, or at least kind of half of what we were using Resnick for.
Totally. I actually think this is probably more true than not, myself. And I'm gonna bank on the reflect being a big part of that. I underrated that in the last Helena of just how game changing a reflect ability is that you would have units just killing themselves on her. It made a whole slew of characters unplayable. And then you bring in the fact that she does still have some tools like the protect and protect seal in the sub job, but she's got a one time physical barrier in the mid fight, and um, you have even like book options. Like technically, Summer Resnick's book, Helena's eligible for, and that has the 15% physical wide res on it. So I think there are things that like you can do to build her in such a way that the magic will take care of itself, and you build her anti physical. Um, Certainly, the all element res leans into that like hard to kill stereotype, and so I figure once you throw in some external self sustain, I know we said Resnick's not necessary, but maybe she is. Sometimes that's just the best way to go. Just pump heals in, and the book synergy is obviously there. Heck, even Velis could be on the table. I mean, that instant heal to start the fight, and then the you know snow healing throughout the rest of it. I think she could be. And again, talk about a permanent pool unit means it's a little easier to reincarnate over the long term. I think they've done some immense things with ice as of late. When we were kind of confused, like what's the point of Dad Bomb? And we get Mavia and all these things that they're like going for this like mono ice play that didn't make a whole lot of sense to us, but like maybe that is the play with her. And I'm actually not convinced that fire is strong enough to take her down, particularly because of all the love of the Dark Espers between water and ice. I think that you have like plenty of counterplay from a overlap perspective that even fire, even without water, quite frankly, if I'm looking at fire, the only real threats to me are Sephiroth and Gilgamesh. And even then, like with Sephiroth, you're not going to be cursing her for the most part. A very low chance of it happening, just because. Oh, I'm sorry, just to mention that her aura affects herself. It's not allies, but not self. So she's inclusive in that curse aura, not including Orochi, the Truststone passive. So Sephiroth, that curse angle is gone. But then you talk about the healing power down that you're going to apply to him. Well, he's not going to absorb as much because you're going to have 60 healing power down on him. Net some debuff weakening. That I think that even against Sephiroth, she can like be half decent. And Gilgamesh, if you're playing with Resnick, you're going to remove his follow up. She's got the 15% Pierce Res innately, which you might be able to lean into with a couple different Espers. So even against fire, like she seems like so well protected that I could see this being maybe not power creep, maybe meta is more the word I'm thinking of, because power creep tends to imply that it's like a game changing stage where you can't come back from. Every unit has to match them, and I don't know if it's necessarily power creep, but I think meta implications. I think I believe that pretty strongly.
I would agree with that. What my standpoint was, do I think that her kit is like so much head and shoulders above like the things we've been seeing the last couple of months? From that standpoint, I don't think so. I
And I
think
agree
it's
with you
more
there.
just,
Yeah,
yeah, like the blend of things that she's bringing, and her spot in the meta, I think will be solid. And then like the compression angle, I think is very very strong too.
totally. I agree with that. So maybe I took some liberties with the definition of power creep there. Um, uh, Either way, good thought. Brings us
It's
to
not,
yeah.
but this is not like revisiting last year when we got Jum and Mons and got
No,
that power creep. Not even in years before where we had. I don't think we're getting that here at all.
not nearly, not at all. This next one here is a topic that I've been dying to sink my teeth into. It's probably one of the most common things we hear about on the discords and just general social media stuff. That there's nothing to play for anymore. Game is end of series, 2 months. That's it. There's nothing to play for. So just quit. Just stop. Is this a hot take, or do you believe this? Do you think there's really just not much of a reason to play anymore?
For me, I think it's hot, but I mean, I can see why somebody might think that. Um, I can empathize with it, I guess, or understand it. But I mean, the argument there is that just because they're going to be closing the doors down, that they're okay, there's nothing to play for. I would say, what has there really ever been to play for? The what there is to play for is what we make of it. So if players are playing, if players are competing, and if people are having fun, then there's something to play for, and that's the way it's always been.
I completely agree. Yeah, to me, this if you're someone who plays this game because you're a character collector, sure, I can understand the take. There's nothing to play for by the nature that there's no more units coming out. That's gone. I'll be honest. I joke that people like to talk about this game more than they like to play this game. I think that's also true for some people, where it's just fun to talk about. It's fun to think about. This is a very complex, nitty gritty game to sink your teeth into. And so when you don't have new characters, new vision cards, new interactions, you lose a little bit of the theory crafting. But then again, that's where I'm appreciative that they're putting out new maps. And now you have Helena to think about. That I do think there's enough theory crafting, even for that subset of people. But I agree with you. There's never really been a point of playing the game other than the fun, the actual theory crafting, the actual gameplay of creating a team and what buff rotation and trying to analyze your opponents and predict what they're doing. And the rewards in Guild War have never been great. We've said that since day one. You don't play Guild War for the rewards, they're non-existent. You play for the social, you play for the spirit of competition. A lot of that speaks to a lot of us to say, I want to be good, I want to prove that I can win. None of that has changed, despite the fact that it's ending in 2 months. And so I can understand certain subsets of the population not feeling like their motivation is there because of some of the things I've mentioned, but there's absolutely something there to play for. It's one of the reasons why we're not taking our foot off the pedal. And I'm so, if anyone's watching in chat, I'm so proud of Howl. Right now in the top end of the game, we've heard, I won't mention guilds because I don't want to, in case some of this is wrong or hearsay, we've heard some guilds like collapsing overnight, even in top 10, where 15, 10 people have just gone, left, retired immediately. We've seen guilds take their foot off so much that they've gotten beaten by opponents that they normally don't get beat by. Right now, it seems like we have nobody retiring in our guild, which is seemingly a rarity. No one's quitting, no one's stopping, and so I think that speaks to the. I'm so proud of the culture we've created with that. My hope is that in these last 2 months, we can help spread that culture to the remaining players here, that all of you can still watch our content, see our Guild War stuff, and try to get, 2 months of like actual fun play out of it. Because that's really the reason why you play a game at its core.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see like the theory crafting thing too, and maybe a month from now it'll if Helena takes over and that's all anybody's playing, maybe it will, maybe we'll all throw our hands up at that point. But at least for now, there is a brand new unit, there's new maps, there's new PvP modes, and I think that prospect seems fun to me, so I'm going to
Same.
dive into it.
Same. And just to recap for the Grand Arena, we're getting two of them before EOS. One of them incentivizes non 100 cost units. It penalizes them. So it incentivizes 80, 90, 70 costs, which awesome. People have always wanted that to like not be beholden to the 100 cost. And the second one is like bonuses to global exclusive units. So like units like Fravi and Shadowlinks are getting buffs all of a sudden, like massive buffs. Like that's the kind of stuff that I think if you're a longtime fan, you would want to play for that.
That one
Projecting.
did sound really fun to me.
But
So
that's cool. Yeah.
I actually really have been enjoying the 5-man Guild War.
Yes.
So much so that I wish it was just in regular Guild War and not in limited, where it's a week off for the most part.
We never got to talk about that. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm gonna interject here. We're gonna do another hot take. Is 5-man Guild War better than 3-man Guild War? Because in all of the shenanigans of what's going on hiatus, we missed out on this whole transition. We finally got the 5-man. We were always fans of it from its announcement and inception. I don't think ever really bought into this argument that people couldn't field a team of 5 units. We were always pretty staunch that like you could just throw an Ifrit card, a Ramu card, a Helen of the Black Rose dark card to still get a team relatively not that far off from what the other teams had. Obviously not perfect, but this 5-man Guild War system is so cool that yeah, you attack someone, you have your units remaining, but you can sub them in or out after you've done your first attack. You can change the slots around for them. I love the number crunching of like 5 active vision cards on a team. I'm sorry, 10 active vision cards on a team, and like how that kind of like levels the playing field statistically for some units. And then even from like a Guild War calling perspective, it adds a whole new wrinkle where right now regular Guild War is kind of formulaic in the, it's 5 years in. It's a science to a lot of the top end guilds, the chain of command of like order of operations, how you hit. And there is one too for 5-man Guild War, but it's all of a sudden a little bit different because you can sub people in, sub people out. Is it a stronger to hit a team of 3 or hit a team of 2? Do you risk hitting a team of 3? And like this Guild War, one of the things we're seeing is you have a cost limitation of units of 250. So people are just like, or 270, people are hucking in a low cost unit, but they're putting Summer Resnick as unit 4. And all of a sudden you have to contend with the risk of, well, if I hit this team and I kill the low cost unit, this team's going to be stronger when they sub Summer Resnick in because of the format. So there's so much like extra layers of thought and strategy that I'm a big fan. I wish we had more than one of these.
Yeah, I hope that either like the next limited or the supreme. I would especially like it if the supremacy is the 5 man, because then we'll be able to play with guilds every day that are within our ranks and really have some fun with the strategy element to it. We've had a couple of battles against Chocobos here in this limited, and hats off to them. They're great, and they're going to win this bracket.
Yep.
So kudos to them. But we had a couple of really good games against them. We split the series, so um, had a lot of fun. Like you said, it's very difficult to full clear and get the 150 points against another like guild that's on equal footing. So it all comes down to who was able to set up the better defense or who was able to optimize their attacks in a better way. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I can't say it's better in hindsight if I'm trying to make an answer because I think it is complex enough that for the average player it's probably too complex for us at the top end that want to push the competitive edge further. I think it's better, but at the same time, grass might be greener. Talk to me after doing this 10 weeks in a row, and I'll see how much I like it after 10 weeks when I have to make a 5 man team every single time I want to change my team. Yeah.
Yeah. At a minimum, it's been nice as a change of pace. So
Yep.
it's unfortunate that we've just gotten that here at the end.
Totally so. But that brings us to our, I guess, now fifth hot take, because I kind of threw that in there. This is another common thing that we've seen in the social media communities that people advising, you should never play a Square Enix or Gumi Gacha again. This has been a trend of Square Enix of EOSing many of its titles within the last couple years. 5 years for War of the Visions is actually relatively long in the lifespan of a gacha, or at least standard at the very least. Most don't go for much longer, but Gumi also has a track record of being a little I won't use many adjectives, but not well received. Is this a hot take? Should you never play Square Enix or Gumi Gacha again, or do you think this is true?
I don't think that this is a hot take. I think that there is some weight to this. I personally, I'm not sure if I lean that direction, but I can definitely see the points there. Like you said, and we've talked about it before. The track record with Square Enix and Gumi as of late is not very strong. And even just from the management perspective, I mean, cut out the EOS aspect, and obviously that's a strong argument for this, but even just from the management perspective, there's been a lot of gaffes and fumbles that we've talked about over the years. And of course, you're always going to have those. That's, everybody is human and imperfect, and that's going to happen. But unfortunately, they've also combined those gaps with the lack of communication, which has just, in most cases, made them 10 times worse, or turned little things into big issues. So, unfortunately, I don't know if it's a culture thing or if they don't feel, I don't know what it is, but they need to get better at the communication and the management and, uh, you know, and just like the interaction with the community.
That's fair. A lot of credible things there. I actually think this is a hot take for one word in here. The word play. You should absolutely play a Square Enix or Gumi Gacha again. Should you never spend in a Square Enix or Gumi Gacha, I think is an argument that I could get behind. I could totally understand where people put in a certain amount of money. These aren't cheap games, particularly when you throw in the fact this is a PvP heavy oriented game. Not all gachas are PvP oriented. Many are PvE, and it's just whatever you feel like. I see no reason why you could never play a Square Enix or Gumi Gacha again, and just know that you're going to be limited to whatever the mechanics are. And I've always held this stance on this game. Just it's if you like it and it's fun, just play it. Don't overthink it. If you want a time killer and you want it on your phone because it's on the go, and this is one that you have an IP that you're in love with because it's Final Fantasy or something, play it. Have fun. And when it's not fun, then you stop playing it and don't overthink it. But I can totally see where people are like, all right, am I going to devote hours of my day and my routine around it and all this money, I can absolutely see people making the. And I'm one of them. If they came out with War Divisions 2 tomorrow, I'd have to have a hard look in the mirror about if I'm going to approach that game even a tenth of what I did with this game. So I'm totally behind that. That I would not spend or invest time in another one. But do play it. No company's perfect, Square Enix included, but that company. I know some comments that they've lost lifelong fans. I'm still a lifelong fan. I love that IP. I love that company, and I'll play till it's not fun. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I personally don't feel this way, but I can definitely see the weight behind it and see why somebody would come to that conclusion. Personally, I hope that the story isn't done for the Brave Exvius universe because I really enjoyed FFBE for quite a while, and obviously I've loved Wotive here for 5 years. So especially War of the Visions and kind of the combination of the Final Fantasy tactics and then kind of the whole kind of Game of Thrones kind of aspect to like the the kings and the war of the
Yeah,
Ardra and all that stuff. So I thought yeah, I've just kind of fallen in love with a lot of these characters, and hopefully we'll get to see them again someday.
totally. And actually, the last thing, just to point out for this, one of the things that they've been very Square has been very vocal about as they have wound down their gotcha portfolio is realizing that this market, this type of game, is kind of tapped out and kind of prehistoric. A lot of really successful gotchas that you see nowadays, like at the top of mobile gaming charts, the AAA titles don't really have all the same problems that a game like War of the Visions does. And so, if they really are serious that they want to compete in this space and put out these AAA titles and make a Honkai esque or a Genshin esque version of War of the Visions or Final Fantasy, then I would imagine much of the complaints that we have would probably go away by the fact that they have to go away or else the game would immediately fail. So I'm going to trust them that they know how to make a game in the future. If they're really serious about being a AAA competitive title, a lot of the stuff we don't like now probably will be a thing of the past, but that's just a little conjecture.
Yeah. We
Okay,
should definitely do like we'll definitely do like a post mortem kind of thing, and um, yeah, there's a whole conversation there to be had, I think.
totally is. But it does bring us to our last hot take here. Uh, which hey, we've been people have been doom posting about global. Let's throw some money down about JP. That Japan will end of series soon now as well. Is this a hot take, or do you think this is true?
I think whether it's hot or not, it depends on the definition of soon. So if we say soon is 6 months, 9 months, I think that's pretty hot. I don't think it's in danger of going that way in 6 to 9 months. If we're talking like a year and a half, I can absolutely see that coming to pass. Um, but it could easily not happen. It kind of depends on how this anniversary goes with JP. Do they gain back some momentum? Do some players come back? And are they able to retain those players? And that's really what it comes down to. If they continue the downward kind of spin that they've been on for the last couple years, actually, pretty much since the third anniversary, I think was a lot of people's breaking point, and where the downward spiral really began. If they aren't able to reverse that, then I think a year is um, pretty good chance it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The word soon completely changes the answer of this. But I'll be honest, even if you gave me three different time frames, I don't think I'm confident in any one answer, purely on the fact that by some miraculous happenstance, original FFBE is still going in JP, which is just like absolutely nuts when you think about how long that game has gone on for. And it's not like breaking the bank either. Like it's adequate, I guess. I really should compare the number of FFPE to Wotive, and I've not actually done that comparison in quite some time. But I do think it's a little bit different for their home audience in terms of like how far they're willing to let something go on. Because at this point too, like this game is a well-oiled machine. We've talked about that for global. It's even more true for JP. They have probably less factors to contend with because they know their audience a lot better. You don't have to worry about the time zones as much, and communication and language, and they've already discontinued the voice actors and whatnot. But there's just so much less complexity that goes into it when it's in your home market. I don't feel confident on any answer, particularly because I don't know what their minimum threshold is for how much they expect to make. But I would also imagine that this is more than anything probably a strategic decision, and I just don't know the inside of the company to know what's their cutoff point for when they're actually done. Because I think that's probably the most important factor is when are they ready to move on from this revenue stream, and I don't
Yeah.
think anyone knows the answer to that. I have no confidence in an answer.
Yeah.
No. But okay, all right. Well, that is the Leonis support episode 97 tonight. A little bit shorter, but I'm happy to cut this at an hour and 15. We always joke. Actually, this is so like from the moment we started recording this or going live, I always had in my head like 1 hour being the sweet spot. Because I just kind of figured who wants to watch more than that of us just talking. But we have like routinely gone to like an hour and a half to an hour and 45 no matter what. So an hour and 15 seems light, but this is even more than what I think my original intention was. But I mean, I'm very excited for tomorrow just to see what they do with the Chamber of Remembrance. Whether it's actually good or not, we'll find out tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to the last 2 months. I mean, I've already put 5 years into this game. I'm going to make the most of the time I have left with the people that I want to spend the time with. The game is not actually changing. I've always loved this game for how it plays, and I'm going to keep my approach to that. I know you are too, and I know many are too, and hopefully that's contagious. Hopefully that spreads. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, for I know that a lot of people that watch this are longtime player, day one players, even many of us. Um, how do you, if you did love this game, if you have had fun with it, how do you want to remember it? Do you want to remember it getting mad and kind of stumbling through the last 2 months, or do you want to kind of go as you have and make the most of it? So that's kind of the approach that we're going to take. Um, and that's kind of different for everybody. So um, one other shout out I do want to make, because we are kind of going towards episode 100. I mentioned this last week as well, I think on the side stream, so maybe some people didn't see it. But for episode 100, we kind of want to have a whole kind of look back on War of the Visions. We want to look back on best moments and kind of do what we do usually on Christmas, I think, and kind of but look at the totality of the game, favorite things about it, favorite moments, favorite Guild War replays. So if you guys have stuff like that, even if it's just like a message that you want us to read out, of some story that you have about the game or something like that, it can be anything. Send it over our way, and we'll see if we can work it into episode 100.
Absolutely, but we're gonna go through with that, and we have a. I know Dr. Diggs and us are in the work behind the scenes trying to make something happen before everything ends as well. So we'll see. We have like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 former content creators that might be able to contribute in some way or another. It won't be podcast related, but at least from a content creation soon perspective, you should see some other content creators come back out just to say hello. And yeah, unfortunately, the podcast will end with EOS as we know it, but we're flexible. We want to keep hanging out. We want to still be doing stuff. So even though it might end from a War of the Visions perspective, maybe we can, convert it into just like a Final Fantasy chat, or maybe we do, God knows what we do, but we'll do something. Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
yeah, we'll play tic tac toe for 2 hours. Who knows? We'll, yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Like
but
Candy Crush.
exactly. But to everyone in the chat, thank you again for so much for joining us. Those watching, I normally say good luck pulling tomorrow, but that's not applicable anymore. But yeah, let's hope for the best in the shops and the banners, and hopefully give us a product that we're all happy with to close it out. But that's it for now. So thanks for joining us, everybody.